Hi, my name is Suhayl and over the last 2 days, my team and I, consisting of Ethan Lam and Harith as well, have been tasked with coming up with a scientific project around the theme of environment. By changing our approach from a more scientific to a more fictitious one, we have come up with a concept design to clear the plastic from the oceans in an efficient and productive manner. This project has been titled Project Deepwater. We now have our model of Project Deepwater. As you can see, this is our concept model for Project Deepwater. It consists of a wave generator and an encircling shield around it. This can be seen with a high power lifting mechanism in red on the machine. Surrounding this, we have a Titan grade deflection protocol system to remove or protect and ensure that areas outside of this wave generation is not affected. So essentially capturing the wave that are emitted outside our designated areas. We also have a high efficiency wave energy converter to power this wave generator. There is also at the bottom of this multi-directional turbine propellers to push the machine around the ocean. Each machine will have a Titan grade net to capture any plastic waste that may spill out outside our designated area. In the bottom right of this image, we see our actual design of this model, which we will incorporate for our users later on. Now, moving on, we will then describe the module from a bird's eye view of what this concept will look like. This machine consists of 4 wave generators and 1 central collection unit, or CCU. They will all be placed in a square-like formation with a 90-degree split between all of them, and they will propagate their waves to the central collection unit to be taken and stored away later. This is illustrated in the blue curvy lines, and the dots of color are plastic waste. This is what the central collection unit will look like. It will essentially be a floating tower above the sea, which will lower a net and collect any plastic collected underneath it and bring it up, essentially with the net loosening and tightening. Each machine will also have its own turbine system underneath it for movement purposes, so that after it has cleared one area of the sea, it will then transition to another area. We will now portray this mechanism through our model design. Here we have an illustration of a model in use. In this image, we can see the net being placed in stretched position. This will be implemented when the machine is stationary and in progress or currently being used. The nets are tightened so that all the excess rubbish or plastic floating in the sea can be harvested into one fixed location without it spilling out. In the second image, the strings are now slackened. This will be the setting used when the module and the entire machine is moving, so that any plastic that it collects in a new area will not be pushed out, but the strings will be set to a degree that no coral reefs will be touched or impacted during its movement. Harith and Ethan will now describe the scientific aspect of our design in greater detail.
Now we'll dive into the physics aspect of Project Deepwater.
As seen in the diagram below, figure 3 and 2, this is the primary mechanism for plastic transport in the ocean or ocean waves. This is because the generator creates disturbances. This causes sea waves to travel up and down. Note that the magnitude that increase, there already exists wave propagation in the sea. So this actually dramatizes this effect. This leads to efficient transport of plastic to the central collection unit. However, the implementation of tension of corner barriers prevent propagation of energy in all directions. This is undesirable, hence why we implemented these. However, the reflected waves will cancel out with incident, so there's no significant effect on our central unit. Wait, doesn't waves propagate energy before transferring matter? This is the definition that we've all learned. Well, this is not really true when applied to real-life situations. Actually, when waves carry particles, they actually do it in a circular manner, as you can see in this diagram. As you can see, particle 1, 2, and 3 all travel in a circular manner, and it also varies, it depends on the depth. This figure 4 also shows the movement of a specific particle in a specific time period. As you can see, it has moved its position. This also corresponds to deep and shallow water. We're focusing on deep water because this is Project Deep Water. Of course, we're doing it in the ocean. The math actually behind it affect our effectiveness of the model. Without going into much detail, this diagram and equations shows that both displacement and velocity in both x and z directions vary upon amplitude. Since density of plastic is relatively light compared to water, this model is effective. Here are some examples of plastic. As you can see, most plastics are synthetic polymers. Two examples shown below is polyethylene and polyethanol. These two are different because polyethylene is hydrophobic. It resists water, whereas polyethanol might be slightly soluble in water, but it depends on various factors such as chain length and other stuff. When dissolved, it might cause chemical harms, and the rest, which are not soluble, will be required to be treated. This plastic decomposition decomposes primarily to secondary micro or nanoplastics. This depends on various factors such as sunlight or UV radiation, as well as wave action, which drastically affects what's the wave speed of a model. There's two cases of wave propagation. If it's too slow, then the rate will decrease, then therefore it might cost us more and the efficiency is less. However, if it's too fast, then it might cause chemical degradation, which can potentially have more bad than good. Some may even be too small, as in terms of nanoplastic, can be even treated with our model.
Finally, biology.
So, how does it affect the wildlife in the ocean? Mainly, marine life would not be as affected if the project is done correctly. However, in the long run, it will substantially affect marine life's habitats and nutrients. This disruption of existing colonies for the sea stars, snails, and seaweed, algae, and crabs might either expand or reduce the habitable areas for them. Underwater noise pollution. The disturbance of the seafloor and the behavior of physiology and the reproduction of marine animal, disturbing it might cause them to cause problems, and such as disturbing with their communication, such as echolocation. And if the machine is placed wrongly, it can be a hassle. It will be such as creating potential hazards, and this might also alter an animal's migration patterns.
This then brings us to the conclusion of Project Deep Water.